Okay, so this morning I took my starter out. I weighed it, what was in there. I did a 1-to-1 ratio feeding. I did 1 part flour to 1 part filtered water warm, and I fed it. After I had fed it, it got to here. You need to let it sit until it doubles. That's why I mark it with just a marker, and it has doubled. So now it is ready to put it in a bowl and start making our dough. Okay, the next step is to get your big plastic bowl. These are just from Walmart. I have 3 of them, so I'm gonna do 6 loaves. You wanna zero it out. You're going to take your starter. It's all nice and bubbly. See how it's got all those gases going and it pulls away from the side and makes the stretchy bubbles? That's what you're looking for. That's what you want your starter to look like. So I'm gonna take that and I'm going to pour 250 grams into my plastic bowl. It's kind of hard, you just kind of have to shake and wiggle. Oh, too much. Okay, so I got a little bit much in there, so I'm just gonna take a spoon and put a little bit back into my jar until I get back down to 250. Perfect. For each batch, you're gonna need 24 grams of iodized salt, so I measure those out. I'm just warming up some warm water right now. So 24 grams. I have, oh, that was good pour. Okay, so now you're gonna put your starter back on the scale. You have your warmed up filtered water. This is 750 grams of water, but I'm gonna measure it just to make sure. And you're gonna add the 750 grams of filtered warm tap water. I just used the filtered water from my fridge until I get to 750. Hopefully this is the right amount. Try to slow down a little bit right here. 49 and 50. Perfect. So once you do that, you're going to take your dough whisk and you're going to mix your starter into the warm filtered water. Just until it's going to be bubbly because of the fermentation that's going on. And then you're just going to stir that in until it looks like that loveliness. Okay, next step is to take your King Arthur bread flour and we're gonna pour 1,100 grams in here. So we're gonna zero this back out. We're just gonna leave that there. We're gonna pick up this big heavy bag of flour and I'm going to pour, well, if I could see my numbers, there we go. Now, if you over pour, don't worry, because you can take it off the top. Jen's recipe called for 1,000 grams, but I have found that my dough, holy cow, is too sticky. I really over poured that a lot. My dough is too sticky with just 1,000, so I'm gonna grab, you can just scoop this off the top, put it back in the bag. That's the beauty of using a scale, is you really can't mess it up because you've got exactly the right amount and you can just get it to where it's exactly where it needs to be. Okay, so the next step's a little bit tricky, so I take it off the scale. Now you're gonna take your dough whisk and you're gonna mix this until you get a shaggy dough. It's gonna be hard for me to mix and video at the same time, so I'll start and I'll show you. I just kind of fold these in and you just keep using this the whole time until you get a nice shaggy dough. And you just keep going. I'm gonna do this until everything's incorporated and then I'll show you what it looks like. Here it is starting to look shaggy. See how it starts to look like shaggy dough? That's what you want. That's what Jen taught me. I'm gonna keep going for just a couple more minutes. Okay, so now you can see I've scraped off the sides. You can see I have a little bit of it on my fingers because I was scraping it off my dough whisk, but you want it to look, see how it's like, it can tear and it's shaggy. That's what you're looking for. Then I'm gonna put a plastic hairnet over the top of it and it's going to rest for 45 minutes. We're just gonna leave it alone and let her rest and do her job. Let the sourdough work. Okay, all right, so the dough is shaggy and we're gonna set the timer for 45 minutes. We've got the hairnets to cover up the top so that it's got room to breathe and have there, but not to dry out so that it's covered. This is Jen Jones' trick. She taught me this to put just a hairnet, just order them on Amazon. You can get a package of 200 for like $8. And you're ready to go. So I'll see you in 45 minutes. Okay, it's been 45 minutes. So now we're going to take the 24 grams of salt and we're going to sprinkle that on top. And you're going to mix. And you want to mix until you can't feel the salt. So I just pull it in from the side and go to the middle. And I just keep turning the bowl round and round. I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. Okay, so I kneaded it in until I can't feel the salt granules and they've started to melt into the dough. Then I'm gonna put the cover back on and it's going to sit for a half an hour before I do my first stretch and folds. Okay, so now we're on to our first stretch and folds. You're going to take your lid off. You're going to get your hand in here and we're going to pull it up and we're gonna do it 4 rotations. We're gonna do 4 of these 30 minutes apart. So this is the first one. So dig your hands in here. It's gonna be kind of sticky. That's okay. You're gonna go in here. You're gonna grab this and you're gonna just pull up high enough not to let it tear. You don't want any holes in your dough. And you're gonna lay it over. Sorry about the squeaking dog in my background. And we're gonna pull it up again. As high as we can without letting it tear and fold it over. Quarter turn. And we're gonna dig our hands in there. We're gonna stretch it up. We kind of shake it a little. Oh, sorry. Like that. And high as we can. It gets harder as you do it because it's thicker. And then I tuck that side down for the last one. And then pull up one last time. Kind of sticks to the bowl, so I just pull it a little bit. And sorry. Lay it down in. And that's your first stretch and fold. I try to just tuck all these back down so that it is going to do that. The next stretch and fold is when we add the coil stretches in after we do the stretch and folds. So I will show you that when 30 minutes are up. Okay, so your second stretch and fold, you're gonna do the same thing. It's been 30 minutes. We're gonna go in and we're going to grab this and we're gonna stretch and fold over. And quarter turn and stretch and fold over. Quarter turn, stretch. Gets sticky in the bowl. I need extra hands. Okay, so stretch. It's tricky. And fold over. And then the last stretch. Grab this edge. Stretch. Bring them up so it doesn't tear. I'm probably not doing a very good job of showing you that, but you want to pull it up so it doesn't, you can see how it's stretching and not tearing. Okay. So now we do what's called a coil fold. And you're gonna do these after you do your stretch and folds, just the last 3. So you're gonna grab it on both sides and you're gonna lift it up and just kind of shake it and let it fall together in the middle. Quarter turn, lift it up, shake it, set it down, quarter turn, lift it up. Oh gosh, sit down. Last one, quarter turn. Get your hands under there, lift it up. Give a little shake, just let the weight of the dough, oh my gosh, pull down on the bread. And then you just set it in. Pull your hands out, tuck him back in, and he's ready to rest for the next 30 minutes. Cover back on. Okay, so with your stretch and folds, we've done 2 so far. We need to do another 2. So you wanna make sure that you do the stretch and fold and then the coil fold each time for the next 2. You're gonna do 4 sets of stretch and folds, a half an hour apart, after the dough has rested that first 30 minutes after you've put the salt in. So 4 of those. The next clip is going to be the dough after it's sat after the last stretch and fold, and then it has proofed on my counter for about 3.5 hours. I find that that's the time that it gets right to almost to the top of the bowl. You don't want to overproof your bread, because if you overproof your bread once it's sitting on the counter, Jen taught me that all the sugars will rise to the top and then your dough will burn when it's in the Dutch oven on the stove. So you don't want it to get over the top of the bowl or proof too high or get, bubbly to the top of the hairnet that's on the top of your bowl. So the next video that you're gonna see is after it has been sitting on my counter for about 3.5 to 4 hours, and that's why it's dark and at night, because I had let it sit after I had done all of my stretch and folds. So you're good to go. Okay, so now the dough has been sitting for about 3 hours. Nice rise on it. It's got some good bubbles in there. We're gonna save that. We're going to pour some flour on the counter, just your bread dough or your bread flour or all-purpose flour. And then we're just going to let that roll right out, right on its own. It's gonna just fall right out. All those beautiful bubbles are gonna just let it fall out. When Jen taught me to do this, she didn't tell me to measure, so I don't measure. I just lay it on the counter and I get my scraper, a little floured, and I just cut her in half. Just split her down the middle. Hope that it will work. Okay. And we're gonna roll her to the side and we're gonna work on this one. And we're just gonna spread her out into a rectangle. Got some good bubbles in there. And then we're going to fold her into thirds. Okay. And then see all those bubbles in there. And then we're just gonna roll her. And as I roll, I just pinch the bubbles. The bubbles are good. It means that the dough is gonna have a good rise on it. That's what I found anyway. And then we're gonna do the roll, and you're just gonna put your hands in there and you're just gonna roll. Put your hands tight and you're gonna roll the dough frontwards, quarter turn. You're gonna roll it back, and then a quarter turn, and then roll, and then a quarter turn. And you'll feel the dough get nice and firm at the top. And roll, and roll, until all of that is nice and firm at the top, and you've got a nice round loaf like that. I pre-cut some parchment paper. I'm just gonna take a piece of parchment paper. I just have to turn it over. And then I'm just gonna place her in the parchment like that. I'm gonna grab a bowl. This is the bowl that I've been using. It works great. And you're gonna stick her in the bowl like that. For fridge proofing, I'm gonna reuse my hairnet that I had on her, and then she is ready to go into the fridge for fridge proofing. And that's gonna sit in the fridge for at least 2 hours. She can sit in there for as long as up to 2 days, but 2 hours at least in the fridge. I'm gonna do it one more time so you can see the process one more time. We're going to press her out into a rectangle. All those beautiful bubbles. We're gonna press her into thirds. And then we're gonna take this and we're gonna roll her into a ball. And then we're going to pull. You can hear all the bubbles popping. And then we're gonna do a quarter turn and roll. Quarter turn and roll back. Quarter turn, roll. You're tucking your fingers underneath the whole time to make a little ball. And she's ready. heavy piece of parchment paper. Get her all set on there. Go. Inside. So I have a new one for her. And she's ready to go into the fridge. Okay, clean hands. Dough has been in the fridge overnight. I put it in the fridge last night, and I got all the dough prepped and ready and in the fridge with the cover on. I just took the cover off, and the parchment paper is a little damp, which is fine. You're going to just remove, you can see that even the dough has proofed overnight in the fridge. It has gotten a little bit big, which is perfect. This is the perfect size round loaf. I just kind of gently pull the parchment flat, and let's scoot this way just a little bit so you can see. Have the parchment flat, and I'm gonna get ready to do the razor part on the top. Get out my razor. You need to make sure that you vent the bread. That's what Jen taught me. It needs to have a vent. You can do fancy designs. I found one that I like, and Jen taught me one that she likes. This is just a little food razor. Be really careful. It will cut your finger right off. You need some rice flour. This is the one that I get. It is just from the Asian food market, and it's the really fine rice flour. This is what makes the bread stay nice on top and lets the design show. So don't be afraid to, Jen told me, don't be afraid to put a lot on top. It looks like a lot, but the rice flour, this bag I think was $1.20 at the Asian food market. So again, sorry about the dogs playing in the background. Dog life at my house. This loaf is going to be nice and big. I just make sure that I get that rice flour all around. I like it to be a little bit thicker on top so that my design shows. The reason you use rice flour, Jen told me, is because it doesn't burn. You don't want to use regular bread flour or tapioca. You can use tapioca, but you don't want to use cornstarch. That one will burn as well. So I just do that, and then I'm gonna kind of angle my video over here, because then I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna very gently just lift it over to my board that's over here, and I'm just gonna knock off the extra rice flour so that it doesn't leak into the bottom of the bread. I have a sink with a lip on it, so I just put a cutting board up there. Sorry, I don't know the words I'm saying. And then I just knock off can you see what I'm doing? I don't know if you can see. So I just kind of spin it around, knock off the extra rice flour so that it's not all caked on the bottom. And then the parchment paper is already dried back out. And then I come over here and I'm ready to do my design. You can just do one slit down the middle and do a little bit on this. This is the one that I found that I kind of like. And I just do a little like S curve. And then I just do a little line here with a little make that come down a little bit more. And then I do the same thing over here. A little bit longer. Little wheat flowers. And then it's ready to go in the oven. So I'll show you how I do that. Okay, my oven has been preheating to 445. That's what temperature works well for me. My Dutch oven is inside my oven on top of my pizza stone. You want your Dutch oven to preheat. That's really important for this baking process. And then when you open this up and you get ready to do this, don't mind my dirty pizza oven because we cook bread on it too. You want to make sure that this is in here the whole time preheating. Before you put your dough in there, you're going to grab two ice cubes. You're going to want to put those 2 ice cubes in the pan. That creates some moisture when you put it in there. You should hear it sizzle a little bit. I just make sure that it's in there and it's sizzling. It should break up pretty fast. You're going to grab your dough that's sitting over here waiting for you. You're going to very gently put this in here, not burning yourself. I've done that. Did not feel good. And I'm just going to pull the parchment with a wooden spoon out so that it doesn't stick to the bread a little bit. And I try to pull those edges out. The steam is coming out of there, so you want to be careful of it fast. And put your lid on top. And in for the first baking. So lid on top, don't forget your hot pads. And push it in. And we're gonna set a timer for 27 minutes. That's the magic number at my house. Could be different at your house. And we'll come back in 27 minutes. Okay, the timer just went off, 27 minutes. I'm gonna open up, we're gonna do our next 18 minutes of cooking our bread. We're gonna take off the lid. We're gonna see if anything magical has happened. We're hoping that it has. Are you ready? Oh, she's beautiful. She is gorgeous. Look at that. So lovely. Oh, she's gonna be a nice big loaf. So you can see that her design right there has opened up nice, and it's gonna get lovely and brown. So we're gonna take the lid off. We're gonna push her back in here, and we're going to cook her for 18 more minutes. Okay, 18 minutes. Don't mind all the stuff. 18 minutes has gone on, and we're gonna take the bread out of the oven. So here we go. Try not to burn your face off. Oh, turn the timer off. Here we go. Oh, she's so gorgeous. And we have sourdough, and she's hot. Okay, so after 17 to 18 more minutes in the oven, you can see we have a beautiful loaf of sourdough. I like to put my hot Dutch oven over here, and I'll show you the loaf. So, the parchment tears off. It's been in the oven, but grab the parchment. But you can find a good spot. Try not to burn yourself, but you're out. I'm gonna slide my Dutch oven over here so you can see. And you have a gorgeous loaf of sourdough. And you can see how the rice flour lets that design kind of pop out on the side. This one's kind of, you can see that rice flour. Isn't she pretty? And it's really hot, but you can tell it's got a good little crunch on the outside. And then she's gonna be beautiful on the bottom. I can feel it. So let me show you. Oh, she's so hot. Hot, 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 hot. So let me grab one of these. Ready? Oh, I grabbed the parchment paper. Sorry. And so nice and golden on the bottom and not burned. That's what the pizza stone does for her. Makes it so that she doesn't get all that that thick crust on the bottom. It makes it hard to cut through. So I'm just gonna take that off of there, and I'm gonna let her cool down all the way, and then I will wrap her up in a brown bag, and she's ready to go. One last little thing with your Dutch oven, it will get, because of the ice you put in there, it'll get these brown marks in here. If you just let this cool off for just a minute, or you can do it while it's still hot, you just put a little bit of hot water in here with some baking soda, rub the baking soda around, and the stains will come right out of your Dutch oven, and she will be good as new and ready for her next loaf.